At the Paris 2024 Olympics this summer, a brand new event wowed audiences and spectators around the world. Breaking, also known as breakdancing, made its Olympic debut. 32 b-boys and b-girls took to the floor, showcasing their incredible physical artistry. And the 27-year-old Korean-Canadian Phillip Kim, aka b-boy Phil Wizard, made history by becoming the first b-boy to win an Olympic gold medal for breaking. And I'm delighted to say today that we have Mr. Kim with us to tell us more about his story and his Olympic win. He joins us via video call. Mr. Kim, hello, and thank you for speaking to us today.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yes, it's a real honour to have you on the show. It's a rare occasion to have an Olympic champion with us on the show, indeed. So first, can we start with your personal story? Can you tell us about your childhood and how you got into breaking in the first place?
I started breaking when I was about 11 years old. I first saw it on the streets of where I was raised, which is Vancouver, BC, Canada, and there was a local breaking crew called the Now or Never Crew, and they were just performing on the streets. And it was the first time that I'd ever seen breaking live, and they were spinning on their heads, they were doing all these crazy movements, so it blew me away. I was a kid at the time, and I was just looking for something to do when I saw it. My first thought was like, oh, I could get girls if I did this. People will think I'm cool. And so the initial thing drew me. And then one of the crew members actually came to my elementary school at the time, and they were teaching us hip-hop choreography. And I asked him, I went up after the class, asked him if he taught breaking because I saw it at the street. And he happened to be in the same crew that I saw on the street. Took his card, started taking classes, and then just kind of never stopped.
Sure. So you were born in Canada, right, to immigrant Korean parents, I understand. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And I understand that once you started breaking, you were influenced by Korean b-boys as well.
I grew up watching a lot of breakers. I kind of grew up in the YouTube era, but definitely a lot of Korean breakers as well. A lot of people that I can call friends now today, Hong Ten, Wing, a few other people. But I mean, the Korean scene was a dominant scene for a very long time, and it was definitely something that I watched growing up.
Yes, Korea had an incredible scene in the early 2000s, I understand. Some of the best b-boys as well. So it seems that you had some influence there. What kept you going to breakdancing? What kept you breaking eventually? Because I understand then you eventually decided to pursue it as a career full time.
For me, it was just the one thing, like I was always an obsessive kid growing up, in the sense that if there was something that I really liked, I would obsess over it. So from an early age, that was things like anime. Like if I grew up watching like Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, stuff like that. And for a short period of time, I would always be obsessed with the world. So Dragon Ball Z is a perfect example. I grew up watching it. And then for a couple months, like that was my world. I would run around in my underwear at home pretending to be the characters. I would like create characters in a little notebook. And then when I found breaking, it was the one thing that I got obsessed with that I never got tired of. I think it was the combination of physical difficulty, the challenge of it, and also the artistry of it, the creative difficulty and the creative freedom. It reminded me of like the animes that I grew up watching, where you could kind of like be a superhero a little bit, in the sense that you like, whenever you watch anime or like superhero movies, it was Batman and Superman. Both were equally strong, but the way they fought and the way they approached it was always different. It was the same in breaking when I was like on YouTube watching people, like to use another perfect example, Hong and Wing, both incredible dancers, but the way they approached the dance was in their own way, and you could kind of develop your own way. And so I think that really attracted me from an early age, and I just kind of fell in love with it and never stopped.
Right, so it's really interesting comparison. Superheroes battling each other. That's how you saw b-boys. How difficult was it to pursue breaking as a career, though? I imagine it's not an easy path to take.
No, definitely not. Like you said, coming from immigrant Korean parents as well. You come to a country like Canada to, try something different, to give us a different sort of lifestyle. And I go a very non-traditional route of saying I wanted to be a breaker. So it was definitely very difficult, kind of the early years on, for myself, just mentally struggling as well if this is something that I could pursue as a career. I don't think I was particularly talented early on. I was always consistent in training and I loved it, but I wasn't even like the best in the country or the best in my city early on. I just loved to do it, and so I definitely struggled a lot mentally of whether I could actually sustain this in the long term. But I think my passion just kind of pushed through, and it's something I love doing no matter what. And I always just kind of stay consistent with my training no matter what. And it led me to the opportunities I have now. I'm very fortunate to be where I am now, and that those doors have been opening up in the last few years, and hopefully moving forward for a lot more people as well.
You mentioned your parents. So how did they think when you said you were going to pursue it full time?
I mean, the initial reaction was my parents were always very supportive, but the initial reaction was like, well, you should still go to school. Like, this can be kind of a hobby, but like to do as a job, maybe not. Um, and I actually did go to university for a little bit, but it was really not for me. And around the same time, there was the Rebel BC1 qualifier happening in LA, which, if you know, the Rebel BC1 is one of the biggest events in the world. And I told myself that I'd go to this event, and if I won this event, then it was my sign to just like drop out of school and like try this, at least give it a shot. So I paid my ticket, went to LA, won the event, and then when I came back, and I trained really hard for it leading up to it, and when I come back, I talked to my parents, just being like, hey, I think like I need to give this a shot. I really want to give it a shot. Sat down with my parents, and they said, okay, we'll give you a couple years, 2, 3 years to kind of show us that you can do this, that you're able to sustain yourself doing this, and then if not, then we can revisit. Maybe you go back to school, whatever, but we'll give you a few years to show us. And I was very lucky that I was doing well in those few years, and we never had that conversation after.
Yes, you did very well. As you said, you won Red Bull BC1, you won several events. And then, of course, this idea of the Olympics came up, the breaking at the Olympics. When it was first announced that breaking was going to be included for Paris 2024, what went through your mind? Were you supportive of the idea? Because some b-boys in the scene, understand, had their doubts about it, were skeptical about it. Were you eager to try and get involved?
When it was initially announced, I was very lucky, and I have been very lucky with the timing of my career. When it was initially announced, it's not something that I really thought about, I would say, in the sense that I didn't think that I was at the level to compete at the Olympics at the time, when it was first announced. Again, I've been very lucky with the trajectory of my career, and just timing wise, with when qualifications were happening for the Olympics and where I was at competitively, that it worked out for me. At the time, I was very supportive of the idea. I saw it as another opportunity to showcase breaking to the world, and on a platform like the Olympics. Even today, if you go to anybody on the street and you say I competed or won even Rebel BC1, no one will know what that is. But if you go and say I competed at the Olympics, or I'm an Olympian, or I won the Olympics, everyone knows what that is. So it just opened it up to a bigger platform that we've never had the exposure to before, and so I was definitely excited about the opportunity. At the time, I'd never even thought that I would be competing in it or winning, so it's still pretty surreal to think about that now. But yeah.
Right, so you competed in qualifier events around the world and earned your ticket to Paris. You said how earlier in your career you thought you might not be good enough, but then what changed? How did you become this incredible world-leading breaker?
That's a good question. I think more than anything, like, to be honest, I think oftentimes the answers are often in the most simplest things. I think I've always been very consistent with my training. I was always very passionate, and breaking encouraged kind of finding your own way. It's different than other sports, going into something like the Olympics, where it's not the fastest or strongest that will win. It's oftentimes the most creative or the most original, or, it's about finding your own way. And so that was something that really spoke to me in breaking. That's what I tried to do, and I think that's kind of where it led me here today, I guess. was just me finding my own way, my own path to becoming a top level breaker. I think even with the title that I have of Olympic champion, I don't think I'm undisputably the best breaker in the world or anything like that. Breaking's pretty cool in the sense that oftentimes, honestly, it's kind of like rock, paper, scissors. You show up the day and you could win one day, and the next day you could lose to the same people. So you truly never know. So by no means do I leave the Olympics saying that I'm the best in the world. I had a good day and I was very lucky to have that day. And I've been pretty consistent the last few years, which I'm pretty proud of. But yeah, there's so much talent in the world, and by no means am I the best.
What was it like breaking at the Olympics?
It was incredible. I mean, the atmosphere was amazing. They did a good job of organizing the event and showcasing breaking on the platform. I feel like anyone who was there watching breaking was definitely blown away about it. And, you know, just from, I can only talk about my personal experience, but from my battles, especially on the second half of the day, like the main top eight towards the finals, the energy was incredible. You could feel it at La Concorde, which is the venue which we competed at, and also the camaraderie and the love between all the breakers was also amazing.
Did it feel different from any other breaking event? I would imagine that there was more spectators who are perhaps not used to breaking.
Yeah, yes, exactly what you said. There were a lot of people out there who saw breaking for the first time. So a lot of them don't really understand a lot of breaking. You know, breaking as dynamic and explosive as it is also very technical, and a lot of the technical movements that are impressive to breakers might not be impressive to, let's say, the naked eye. Whereas a lot of people will cheer for, you know, the people doing crazy power moves, which is for us too is incredibly impressive. But there's a lot of technicality and details and originality that maybe a lot of the regular crowd might not understand. Is it different from other events? I actually think the cool thing about breaking at the Olympics was that it felt like just like another event, like a really well done, high quality event, not dissimilar to something like BC1. But like you said, there were a lot more people in the audience that had never seen breaking for the first time.
What did it feel like to win the Olympic gold medal? What did it mean for you? How does it feel when people call you by this moniker now, the Olympic gold medal winning B-boy?
To be honest, I don't really know. I don't know if I fully processed it still. Like, I haven't really been home too much since then. I'm still on the road now. So I don't know if I've had time to fully process it. Obviously, when it happened, I was super, super happy. To be honest, again, my initial feeling more than anything was relief. There was a lot of pressure going to the Olympics. I know I was a favorite going into it, so I think a lot of people expected me to win, and I was glad that I was able to deliver on those expectations. And I was very fortunate enough to have a lot of friends and family with me in Paris, and so it was amazing to kind of celebrate and have that moment with them. And also, I was very proud to represent Canada and to represent my country, and also just to represent breaking and to showcase it on a bigger platform. I think we did a great job, and I'm very proud of that. Yeah, again, I think it's still pretty surreal when people come to me and that I am a gold medalist and an Olympic gold medalist. I don't think, again, it's fully kind of sunk in what that means and how much it means. So, yeah, I'm very much still in the midst of processing it all.
You said your family was there as well in Paris.
Yes, yeah, they were.
And how did they react to the win?
They were ecstatic. I was fortunate enough to have my parents and both my brothers there with me. My mom had seen me one time before at an event in Korea called BBIC compete. That was the first time she had ever seen me. But for my dad and my two brothers, they had never seen me compete before live.
Wow.
So it was their first time watching me compete, which was at the Olympics, which is a pretty special experience. It was also all their first times in Paris, and I was able to bring them out to Paris. And so we got to spend a lot of time together, just having dinners and kind of exploring the city a little bit. So yeah, it was definitely a really special experience.
How has your life changed since the Olympics? I understand that you've met the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. You were recently at an event with the Mayor of Toronto. I understand you've been very busy. Has your life changed, do you think?
Yeah, definitely changed. For example, I'm used to getting recognized within the context of breaking, within the breaking community. Right after the Olympics, I was getting recognized all over Canada. Like just walking the street, people would kind of know who I am. So it was a weird kind of experience. Not unwelcomed. Like everyone's very nice and very loving, and it's been very sweet. And definitely a lot of cool opportunities that have been coming up. So hopefully it lasts, but we'll see. Who knows? As of now, I mean, like I'm super busy, but I've always been super busy even prior to the Olympics, and I say that very graciously, and very grateful for all the work and opportunities, and hopefully this continues to grow, and I can use my platform to continue to showcase breaking and to showcase kind of what I've dedicated my life to and what I love to do. So, yeah.
Sure, you say we'll see whether this lasts. What do you think the Olympics have meant for breaking in general? Because, as I said, there was perhaps some skepticism, even some controversy when it was first announced. And unfortunately, it will not be returning for the LA Olympics in 2028. But still, what is the legacy you think it leaves behind?
Um, I don't know. We have yet to see yet, I guess. I think time can only tell if it does leave any sort of legacy or what the impact will be. I can again only speak from my experience, at least in Canada. I've had countless parents kind of message me or people that I've met in person being like, my kids started breaking because of you. They saw you at the Olympics and they wanted to learn breaking, and so we put them in breaking classes. And at the end of the day, that was the goal. It was to showcase people breaking and to hopefully have people fall in love with it. And I know a lot of people did, at least from the context that of my kind of social media and people that have come up to me. So hopefully that continues, and hopefully we can grow the scene within Canada and around the world. And again, that's always the goal, is to showcase breaking. It's what I've kind of dedicated my life to and what I love doing and what all of us love doing within the world of breaking. And we just wanted to show it to the world.
We're fast running out of time. So then very briefly now, just to wrap up, what's your future plans? Where do you hope to take your career from here?
Um, I did this prior to the Olympics, even for the love of it, and I want to keep doing it for the love of it. I just want to keep breaking, keep growing, and developing as an artist and an athlete and as a person. And I'll keep doing that. And I'm very fortunate to be where I am and to have the platform that I have now. And I'll continue trying to push breaking to new worlds and new avenues. And the mission has never changed. Maybe my platform has changed and the opportunities will continue to grow, but the mission always kind of remains the same. I did this first and foremost for me because I love breaking, and I'll keep doing that to keep growing myself and my craft. But then also now with a little bit more responsibility of kind of showcasing breaking to the world. So I'll keep trying to do that as well.
Well, we're out of time, but we really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us today and sharing your story. Congratulations. Once again, we've been speaking to the Olympic champion, Phillip Kim, aka B-Boy Phil Wizard. Thank you once again for your time.
Thank you very much.